Camera's rolling.
Baby, I'm too young to know any better, but I guess I'm just too old to care. I'm waiting on the morning light to clear the air. Now the sky is hung with regret, letting go that you paid black. All the silence that keep me coming back. I'm the one that you hated. You know, the one you didn't want to believe. The one that you hated. Take a look at it now. I'm the mess you created. The one that you hated. Now the sky is hung with regret, letting go that you paid black. All the silence that keep me coming back. I'm the one that you hated. You know, the one you didn't want to believe. The one that you hated. Take a look at it now. I'm the mess you.
Hey guys, welcome back to Dad Talk today. Got an episode. Unfortunately for the community, we are used to seeing stories like this, and that breaks my heart. Tonight's subject will be pretty heavy in nature, so I'm just going to warn you ahead of time. This is a current event. Alex Brown was murdered about 18. Well, he was killed, allegedly murdered. He was killed about 18 days ago, the day that he won custody. He didn't even make it home by the ex-girlfriend's boyfriend. At the time, I got the mother on with me. I am going to bring her up. Miss Suze, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing okay. Before we get into this, I think it would be right. Obviously, Alex did what he thought he needed to do to go through the justice system to fight for this kid.
Yes.
But before we go through what I'm hearing something. Okay.
It was my air conditioner. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Before we get into that, tell us a little bit about who Alex was and what kind of person he was.
Alex was an amazing person. He has always been interested in music. He played the guitar, the drums, the piano, the bass, the mandolin, and he was self-taught. He wrote his own music. He mixed and recorded music. He could do just about anything he set his mind to. He was adventurous. He loved skateboarding. He loved riding a dirt bike. Anything with a motor, he loved to go. He was always happy, always smiling, always fun, even throughout everything that was going on in his life with trying to get to his kids and have time with them. He still kept the most positive outlook on everything. And he was a family person. He wanted his kids. He wanted me, his brothers. He wanted everybody around him to be happy, to have the things that they wanted. And he would have given anything for his family, whether that was his kids or us.
So, Alex had 3 kids, if I'm correct, 3, 2, and 1, right?
3, 2, and 1. Yes, sir. All boys.
3, 2, and 1. What was that like for Alex when he became a dad?
Oh my gosh. I was actually there when the first one was born. And the whole waiting period for actually having the baby, he was okay. But when it came down, I mean, the minute he saw that baby, you could just see his eyes fill up with tears. He was so excited. And I stayed with them for a couple of weeks right after they brought him home. And he was born a month early. So he was really small. He had to spend a few days in the hospital. And when they took him home, we joked around because all the pictures I took Alex was just staring at him. It's a joke in our family that you're just going to look the pretty right off of him. And that's basically what it was. We all stared at him all the time, played with him. Um, he loved being a dad. That was absolutely the everything for him. Everything else was just filler, I guess, in his life. His main thing was being a dad.
Um, so tell us about the custody battle that Alex was going through and some of the things leading up to that. What made him go into the family court?
Okay, he and his wife split up about 3 years ago, and he was paying her weekly, sending her money for the child. They only had one at the time. She was pregnant with the second one. He sent her money every week. He tried to call. There was some arguing on her end that it was, too annoying for him to call, and they were always busy and it was interrupting her time. And so at that time, they were living about 4.5, 5 hours apart. Alex was living in Richlands and she was living in Louisa. And then she moved to Madison, which is still in this area. He transferred his job and moved back here to live with me and my husband so that he could see his kid. And when he got here, she did not want him to see him. So he had to go to court. He put it into court and got visitation with his son. He lived here from February until July to get everything firmly established. The second son was born during that time, and he was allowed to see him only during like pickup and drop off of the other child because there was no custody order on him and she didn't want him to just take his son.
Right.
He got everything approved through the courts to move back down to where he had a home. And he moved. He had visitation with the oldest one for a couple of days every month during 1 week. And they met halfway for that trip because it was a 4.5 hour drive, 5 hours. They met halfway. And when she didn't like driving halfway, she wanted to go back to court on that. He made multiple trips up here going to court, trying to get everything straightened out, trying to get visitation with his second son because he still wasn't seeing him. After all the trips, all the hassle, everything, back at the end of last year, he was finally granted visitation with the youngest one. But because that child did not know him, he had to start coming here again for visitations. He came here for 3 days every 2 weeks to see both of his children. And he only had a couple of hours with the youngest one each day that he was here. But the older one was able to stay for the full time.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Suze. He was driving 5.5 hours to come and stay with you to get those couple hours of visitations.
Yes. He would drive up on Sunday and leave on Wednesday morning.
That's a dedicated father.
Yes.
But keep going. I just wanted to.
Yeah. He was luckily had a great job where they worked with him with his schedule. He was able to adjust things to where he was able to take those days off every couple weeks, every 2 weeks. And everything was going smoothly with that. They were building up to where eventually he would be able to have both the children for the weekly visit like he had been having with the older one. And then something happened back in March when he came up for his visitation. There was an issue at the mother's home where he was told that he needed to take the children until she could find somewhere else to be because the boyfriend had thrown the children's belongings out in the yard and they weren't going to be there anymore. So she told him to take the children home with him. And she came over during the time that he was here, A couple of times she brought clothes and toys for the children so that he could take them to his home and they would still have their belongings. He had them from that week, which was near the end of March, all the way up until we went to court on May 9th. That was the court to make the decision because she had moved back into the home with that person. And Alex didn't believe that the children should be there because he had already displayed some violent tendencies. Right after the two of them had gotten back together, they made the trip all the way to Alex's home where he was staying and wanted to take the children. He did not let them. The police were called. I'm pretty sure there were trespassing charges filed. At that time, the boyfriend was trying to fight with him. Alex did record this. It's on his Facebook page, the video. But because he did not let them, the boys, go with them at that time, there was a show cause filed and he had to come up here again to go to court for that. And they said, your next court date is May 9th, so we're just going to put everything off till then. And when we went in on May 9th, the lawyers spoke, everything was discussed, the guardian ad litem spoke, and it was decided that Alex would have full physical custody of his children.
Tell us about that moment. How happy was Alex?
He was so excited. I was with them in court. Him and his girlfriend was there with us as well. She drove us back to my house. We laughed, we joked the whole way. He messaged his brother immediately and told him, hey, this is what's going on. I got the custody. Everything's good. He had planned on going to see his brother at work because his brother was going to put tires on his car for him. And we live in a gated community. And when we got through the gate, Alex had texted his brother and said, we're home. I'm going to eat something and then I'll be down there to see you. And that was the last message that he ever got from his brother. We pulled in the driveway and a truck pulled up behind us. While I was trying to get out of the car, her boyfriend got out and he shot through the car. My son got out and he chased him down all the way through my home. He shot in my home. He chased my husband, shot at him as well. And my son was killed about 4 houses down from me in the yard outside.
What was, and obviously it's hard to ask questions about this, but we want to get the story out to let people know
Right.
what it's like to go through a situation like this. I mean, what was that experience like for you seeing Alex, go through this and that done in your house?
Yeah, it was terrifying. I was calling 911. I was hiding in the bushes calling 911 when he ran through the house and out the back, which is where my husband was. And my husband ran with him and they jumped a fence. And my husband tried to get behind him. He thought he could tackle him or something, stop him. And he saw Alex go down. And then he turned around and came back and grabbed me and ran the other direction because we didn't know. The police weren't here yet. And we didn't know if he was going to come back for us. So he took me a couple of houses down. 911 made me stay on the phone until they got everything secured. And they did arrest him on the spot. My son was dead when they arrived. And we had to sit outside until like 10:30, 11 o'clock at night because they had the whole area roped off. We couldn't come in our house because they were investigating, documenting, whatever it is they do. When we came in, my good friend Heather was with us. She and my husband had to clean my son's blood off the door, off the carpet, downstairs. It was like a trail through my house. And knowing that he was literally running for his life, It's terrifying. It's horrifying. We've luckily had so many people in our community, in our neighborhood, our friends and our family who have stepped up and helped us out. We've gotten new carpet in our living room. We've got a new front door. Um, People were delivering food, sending grocery orders. We've had so much support and so much love from everybody. We've had the GoFundMe. My friend Heather also set that up for us because we want to make sure that his boys have everything they're going to need in their lives, and that, that they're taken care of. We do have physical custody of the two boys that were part of that case. The other son, Alex's youngest one, is with his mother. We are in close contact. We speak regularly. We're going to try to keep the boys as close to each other as we can and make sure they come up together. We're devastated, but also having learned of so many other cases where things like this happen, it's just terrifying. I mean, you always hear about deadbeat fathers. Alex was the furthest thing from a deadbeat father. And then, there's always women that are killed by their exes because of custody or whatever. It never occurred to me how many men are killed by the person that their ex has chosen to be with over custody of their children.
It's huge. It's huge, and we're seeing more and more of it. It doesn't hit the mainstream media, so it's largely an issue that
Right.
kind of goes under the radar. But any of the people in the comments that are watching this right now, I'll tell you, I've been reporting on stories like this nonstop. You never know when there's going to be another one.
Right.
That's how I caught wind of this story. Now I've had, and I can understand where it comes from. There's some people in the comments wanting to know about mom's role in this. And we'll definitely, talk about that here in a second, guys. And we're going to talk about this story. Is one of the reasons why I definitely wanted to talk to Suze tonight. There was a question up here, and I'm sure you have thought about this yourself. So I don't know that she can say this for sure. We're just, anything we answer tonight, allegedly speculation, because there hasn't been a court case on this yet. We just have to say that, guys. But Roger Tolbert said it was a gated community. Do you have any idea of how he got in?
We do not. There is a gate. There have been instances of people like tailgating behind someone else to get in. We know that the police have gotten the cameras, but we personally don't know. We were very preoccupied in the car. We were talking and laughing and joking. There's a very good chance he could have followed us in, or he could have somehow gotten in beforehand and been waiting for us. We really honestly do not know.
I mean, you guys probably wasn't watching behind you. That was probably the last thing on your mind. This was supposed to be a happy moment. Alex,
this was the happiest moment.
Right. And it turned that quick.
That quick. Before Alex ever got out of the car, there had been a shot fired into the car.
So, Suze, I mean, and many times we see these, I would have to say, a lot of times we think, even though the boyfriend might have been the trigger man, they think, there was something else that might have promoted that. Tell us about the relationship you have with Alex's ex that was dating the boyfriend.
Okay. As far as we know, she had no knowledge of this, was not involved. I'll lay out our Jerry Springer story.
It's okay.
My son, Alex, was married to my husband's daughter. They were married before we were. They decided they were in love at 18 and got married young. They were together for about 8 years. Since this whole custody battle has been going on, she has blocked her father and I from her life. She did not like the fact that we wanted them to share the children and behave reasonably with each other. She didn't like some of the things we had to say about her boyfriend being so demanding and in charge of how much time Alex could speak with his kids or anything like that. So we really haven't had a relationship with her for well over a year. And now she has visitation with the children. We are polite to each other. We discuss the children, and that's it.
It's got to be a hard situation to be in, not only for you, but obviously your husband. That's his
Yes.
daughter.
Yes. I mean, basically, we lost 2 kids in this. You
Right.
know,
How has he been taking this?
he's devastated too, just like I am. He's had to go back to work, of course. He only missed 1 day right after the day after it happened. And then he took off last Saturday for our memorial service that we had for Alex. We're basically up in the air with everything. We have 2 toddlers to take care of now, and it's a lot. Our home at the moment looks like an Amazon warehouse. People are sending stuff. We've had to order stuff for the boys. But they're, we have them covered. We've got it covered. The boys are actually with him right now playing. I can hear them in the background. They love their grandpa, and he loves them. We're all just doing the best we can.
Yeah. Now, if I'm not wrong, I remember we talked the other day, and I got a basic breakdown on the story. Now, was the ex, or your husband's daughter, was she trying to get away from the boyfriend at that point in time? Hadn't there already been some troubles there?
There had been the issue back in March when she gave the children to Alex.
Okay,
and told him he needed to take them. But then she got back with him, and basically he took over again, I guess. I'm not really privy to their relationship itself,
Right.
but it seems he took over, and they went down to Alex's house, had an altercation, and then it went back to court. And he was at the courthouse when we went that morning on the 9th, just standing outside. And he had sent a threatening message to my son's phone. We showed the attorneys, and Alex's ex went outside to talk to him, and he left. He left the courthouse. We didn't see him again until he was shooting at us.
Now, that's something else I don't think we talked about. Besides Alex, was there anybody else that was in the line of fire?
I wasn't all the way out the car when the first shot went through the back window. I was in the process of standing up. I turned sideways because I was in the back seat, the back passenger seat. Alex was in the passenger seat, and his girlfriend Crystal was in the driver's seat. And he shot. And I don't know if that shot or if glass or what hit Alex, but when he got out, his head was bleeding. Crystal was okay. She stayed in the car and rolled it to the bottom of the driveway and stayed there because Alex had told her, "Stay here, I'll be back."
Yeah.
And he never came back.
What's it like in that moment when that starts happening? I know there's a lot of emotions that kick in. Was it a blur for you? I mean,
it was a blur. I honestly, and my main goal was calling 911. And I thought, I guess in my brain, I was like, okay, I can call them and then I can go check on my kid. I could hear the gunshots going off inside my house, and I was outside it. I didn't know where my husband was. I didn't know if he was inside or if was outside. It turned out he was out back, and Alex ran out the back door and he ran with him. The person was shooting at my husband as well while they ran. And they went into a neighbor's carport. And my husband kind of fell back to try to get behind him. He thought maybe he could tackle him or something. And he just kept chasing Alex and kept shooting. And once he was done, he was done. That was his only goal for the day.
Yeah, I was curious. What did he do afterwards? Did he just stand
I
there?
didn't see it. I
Okay.
don't know.
Okay.
We were told that he did put the gun down when the police approached and they were able to arrest him. That's all I know on that end.
I got you. What is what's your thoughts and feelings about the family court? Seeing what Alex had to go through to even have rights to his son
Right.
or his sons in the first place, if you ask me.
Well,
Father should have rights from the very beginning. This is ridiculous.
yes, he should have. There should have been, he shouldn't have had to jump through all the hoops. They put him through follicle tests for drugs, random drug tests all the time. He had to have CPS approve his home. He had to have her approve his home. There were only certain places the children could be with him. And in the meantime, once it did get into court, yes, she did also have to have a home study done.
Okay.
But she was able to take the children wherever she wanted. She was able to leave them with whoever she wanted to babysit, whatever. And everything that Alex did was scrutinized. It was 2 long years of fighting. And the fact that everyone knew that he had a second son, she admitted it, it was his kid. But because there were no orders for him, Alex just didn't get to see him for 18 months, except for a few minutes here and there while she was present.
Did Alex ever talk to you about how that made him feel?
Oh gosh, yes. The first day that he was supposed to actually have visitation with the little one here at my house, something happened. I can't remember the details. She got the day mixed up or something like that, and she didn't show up to bring them. And he was supposed to meet her at the gate to our neighborhood, and he was up there waiting. And he came back crying. And he said, "I just want to see my kids, Mom." And he was able to see them the next day. But to do all that he did, all the driving, all the job rearranging, all the child support he was paying, and still just be at the whim of someone else or the court or whatever as to when he could see his children was terrible.
Did he ever talk to you about the supervised visitations? He's like, I understand that if a child is not familiar with the parent, like how they got to ease that relationship, but at
Mhm.
the same time, it was unnecessary for it to be that way in the first place. That had to be pretty
Right.
hard on the guy.
It was. And I mean, they weren't necessarily supervised. It was just the fact that he only had a short time. And because he lived 5 hours away, he figured it was best to just come up here and stay because he still got the full time with the older one. And he had the younger one for a couple of hours each day. And, I wasn't here to supervise. It was just at my home because it was close. But yeah, he shouldn't have had to do any of that. He should have been in his child's life from the very beginning.
Guys, if you got some questions, throw them down there in the comments. I got a few from people. Chuck Dizzle on Facebook said he was never proven to be unfit, right? So what was the reason his rights were interfered to begin with?
He was never, ever proven to be unfit in any way, shape, or form. He passed every test with flying colors. It, basically, because she had moved with the children, she had possession of them, so therefore she was considered to be the one in charge. And he had to fight to get his rights to have his time with his children. It's a court thing. Once it's submitted, everybody just jumps through hoops. Unless they're the mom, apparently.
Now, did Alex have an attorney?
He didn't at first.
Okay.
He did have one for the past couple of months. She's an amazing woman. And it was kind of already to the point where I can't remember whether he had the attorney before. I think he had the attorney before she handed the children over to him back in March. But things were still contentious in court and everything. And then when she wanted them back, the lawyer was there. And that's, if he hadn't had the attorney, he probably wouldn't have gotten the physical custody at that point
You know,
because she did have one.
I am not big on attorneys by no means.
Right.
Every so often we see some good ones, and the fact that Alex won full custody and it
Yeah.
seemed like this person was fighting for him, that's amazing. Do you happen to know their name by chance?
Her name is Angela Williams.
Good job, Angela.
Yeah, she is amazing. And she actually went with us when we had to go to the emergency custody hearing less than 72 hours after Alex was killed, and helped us with that.
I don't know if you can speak to this, Suze, but I'll ask you. Nikki Woods Passarelli said, why did mom lose custody to Alex?
Because of the situation she was living in.
It was all about, yeah.
It was all about the boyfriend.
Yep.
Not her, the boyfriend.
And it seems very warranted.
Yeah.
You
know? At this point, yeah, we never expected it would be this way. But yeah.
Let's talk about, the kids. Now there's 3 kids that are growing up without their father. And
yes.
I don't care whether boys or girls, they need their daddies. But I mean, in this case, we got 3 young boys that needed their dad.
Yeah.
And they probably are too young to comprehend what's going on, I would think.
Yeah, they don't comprehend it. We have a framed picture that one of Alex's brother's wives made for me that has pictures of him with all of his kids in it. Several just, snapshots, selfies, whatever. And they look at it, and the oldest one says, "That's my daddy." Yes, it is, baby. And every so often he'll ask me, "Is daddy at Crystal's?" which was the girlfriend where he was staying. And I say, "No, he's not at Crystal's. We're not going to see daddy, but Meemaw's going to take care of you." And, I can't tell them everything. And if I did, they wouldn't understand it anyway. It would just confuse them more. But right now, there's 2 boys that one of them we know pretty well. The other one, we've just gotten to know since the end of last year, short visits. And now they're having to live with us. And I know it's confusing for them. And when their mother has her visitation, they cry when she leaves. And I can understand that. That's their mom. But I also prefer that they're here where we know who's around them. And hopefully the court will continue to see it that way. And, we don't want to take our children away from her. But I do not want my grandchildren living in the home of the person that allegedly killed their father.
Understandable. And I'm going to tell you, it takes a strong person to say what you just did when you had your child taken away from you.
Yeah, no, I don't want to take them away from her.
Yeah.
But I don't want them taken away from us either.
3 years old. I mean, do you have like maybe an estimate of how much time Alex and you guys was able to spend with the 3-year-old?
With the 3-year-old, I mean, Alex was with him from birth, so was I, basically. Until the separation. That was when he was around 18 months, I guess.
Okay.
And then after the separation, I don't know. I would say probably all together with all the visits and everything combined over the past 2 years, probably we've spent a total of 3 months with him.
Yeah. Somebody wanted to know, did you ever hear, and this is, again, guys, allegedly this is an active case, but I wanted to know, to your knowledge, did you know of the ex ever making any threats of physical harm or any consequences if the dad did win custody?
No,
Okay.
not relating to custody. He's threatened him. He's tried to fight him. But no, it wasn't related to custody. It was just him wanting to be in charge of everything, I guess. I'm not even going to try to understand his brain.
Right. Obviously, it doesn't. It makes no sense.
Right.
Kids don't have their dad now. I mean, and even him. I don't go if it's jealous and he wanted Alex out of the picture. Well, dude, you're in jail now.
Right. What good did that do you?
It did you absolutely no good.
No.
But that is the point that I believe that the family courts bring into this, the fight that comes
Mm-hmm.
off of it. And if Alex's rights had been preserved when those children were born, we might not be talking about this right now.
No, we might not.
You know, we can't say that for sure, but that's some of the consequences of the way
Yeah.
the system is set up. I want to ask you, you know, for the kids, we don't have to say their names, 3, 2, and 1 years old. Again, they might not be able to comprehend, but as they get a little bit older, I'm sure they're going to want to know about their dad.
Yeah.
Can you give me some good memories of him with the kids?
We've actually had, we've set up an email for family and friends of Alex to send emails to the boys, and we are going to make a living memory book for each one of them.
Mm.
The main thing has always been the music. We've ever since he was 18 months old, he had little toy guitars. He has always been musical. And it didn't matter what was playing on the radio or the TV or anything like that. Alex would know the words to something, you know, just about any song that popped on. And but when he was little, he was about 2, and I kept an Everclear CD in my car. So we would get in the car and I'd say, "What do you want to hear, baby?" And he'd say, "Living with Your Ghost, Mommy." And that was the Santa Monica song. And that's one of the earliest memories I have of him knowing an actual song and knowing what he wanted to hear. As far as with his boys, I know that they have had some really good times together in the times that he had them. He has taken pictures. I have videos of them playing with him, and we want to make sure that they will have all of those. My friend Heather is working on transcribing or transferring all of his videos onto DVDs for the boys. And we are not going to sweep Alex under the rug. He is a part of our lives, and he's going to be a part of their lives. Even though he can't be here, we will make sure that they know their dad.
I'm guessing this not mom where this situation happened, but it looks like there was 2 different moms. I can't say that this is her, but I see Christina said his 1-year-old loves to listen to his dad's music and watch his videos. He dances and watches him and says "daddy" all the time.
Yeah, she's the mom of the youngest one's mother. So she's the other grandmother of my youngest grandbaby.
And I'm sorry you got to do that. You know, it sounds like you got a community.
Yeah.
You got, you know, family to help out. And, you know, this is just a sad situation.
It really is.
Dwayne Moore on YouTube said, "How are you coping? What can the community do for you short and long term? Do you or the kids have any needs that the community can help with?" And guys, I did put a GoFundMe down there in the comments, and I'm going to do it a few more times during this. But, you know, Suze, how are you coping?
Well, minute by minute, there's a lot of crying, but I try to keep that under control when I have the boys around me. I have quiet time in the morning where I think about Alex, and I usually have a good cry, and then I start the day when the boys wake up. Our community, our friends, our family, our neighbors that we honestly didn't even know before this. We've gotten cards. We've had food delivered. I mean, they had organized a whole meal train for over a week. And everything we need for the boys right away, they made sure we got that because Alex was killed on the 9th, and the boys were with his grandparents on his father's side at the time because they had kept him while he came up here for court. And when we went to court and got the physical custody, they gave the mom visitation for Mother's Day, which was the 14th. So we were in court on Thursday afternoon, and we had to have the children back here by Sunday morning. So we were not prepared. The grandparents had to make a quick trip, and they brought everything they could bring in their car at the time. We've had people bring stuff to us, people offer us stuff, And right now, I would say they're, good. We do have the GoFundMe because we want to make sure that as time goes on, all three of these boys are able to have the life that they should have. And it's not just the two that are with me. The other one is now living. I mean, he spent half the week with his mom and half the week with his dad. And now he's got just his mom and her family and us. But there are things he's going to need as well. We want to make sure that the kids are taken care of. Anything, the GoFundMe was for the final arrangements and the service, and anything over that is being put into a savings for each of the kids. So anything anybody can give, that would be amazing. Like I said, we've had so much outreach from so many people. My mother's church, the places Alex worked, all of his coworkers have donated, have sent messages, have helped out. They provided food for the service. It's been overwhelming because I'm not a people person. I have a few close friends, but I'm not really big in the community or anything like that. And it has been so overwhelmingly amazing how many people have stepped up for us once they heard what happened with Alex.
How does that make you feel, having the community do that for you?
Oh, I hate that we're in a position that they had to, but it is very heartwarming. I mean, we were so worried. I mean, several of the neighbors' houses were shot into as well that day. People couldn't get to their homes because the road was blocked off. I was afraid everybody was going to be furious with us. We live in a very quiet, gated community, and here's somebody running through people's yards and houses, shooting someone. And it originated at our house. And that it's terrible. But they have been amazing. Everyone really has.
It's good to know that people surrounded you, in
Yeah.
that time. Seems like we got some friends and family in here. You got Judy Mock, Alice.
That's my mommy.
Okay. You said Alex was a helicopter dad. He was a great dad. So he was always on top of things.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. He fussed at me because I didn't cut up food small enough for the babies. Oh, no, they're going to choke. If they were outside, they couldn't be more than 5 feet away from him. He was right on top of what they were doing all the time.
Yeah. Somebody said, how old was he? Correct me if I'm wrong. I believe Alex was 29.
He was 29. He would have been 30 this November.
Yeah. Patrick Talley said, my best friend, brother, and a unique father. I love y'all. So I'm guessing this was best friend?
Yes, it's his friend, and they made music together.
Oh, man. Does he have any music out there that he recorded?
That might be, Patrick might have to tell you that. I know he has a couple of people he has recorded with back in the day. There is a YouTube channel somewhere that has some of his older stuff. He had a lot of rap. It did some horrorcore, angsty teenage stuff. I don't know what all there is. His girlfriend did give me his laptop, and she said he was working on new music, but I haven't been able to make myself open it up and listen to anything yet.
I got to say, Suze, you sound like a fun mom. I mean, to have Everclear.
Yes, Everclear and Kid Rock was our thing. Yeah.
Kid Rock.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
There you go. I just went to his concert not long ago.
I've seen him several times. I never got a chance to take Alex, but yeah, once he got a little bit older, it was Kid Rock in the car.
Absolutely. Uh, I know it's still early, and there's a lot of healing and stuff going on. I mean,
Yeah.
how's the healing process been like? I mean, with you got toddlers there, I'm sure you've been having to kind of hold it together. And have you really had time to process this and really
Um,
think about it?
it comes and it goes.
Yeah.
I mean, there are moments I can talk to them, I can talk about him, I can laugh. My son was a notorious lighter thief to the point that when he walked in my house and I noticed that a lighter was missing, I would just hold my hand out and he would dig in his pocket and find it and give it back. Um, there are so many things we've laughed about and joked about with Alex, and I like to try to remember the good stuff, but yeah, it usually leads to crying at some point. I'm working through it. That's all I've got right now. I'm trying to do the best I can for these boys, and I kept really busy up until last Saturday because I was getting ready for the service and everything. And since then, it's kind of set in a little more.
Right.
Up until then, it was rush, do this, get this, organize this, and I had lots of help with that to
Yeah.
where I didn't have to stress it too much, but I still did because that was the see you later for my kid. And I wanted it to be just right. Um, since then, yeah, I've had a lot more time of it sinking in that no, he's really not going to come busting through the door saying, Mom, and that hurts. But I also know that I had 29 great years as his mom. And that even though he was taken from us, that was probably the happiest moment in his life right before that happened. Other than when his children were born, that would have been the moment that defined it for him.
Happiest and the saddest.
Yeah,
Very close
all
to
in
you.
one day.
Mm. Obviously, guys, this is a horrible situation. The one thing I would like to see, and for the family and the friends that are watching down there, I'd like there to be somewhat of a tribute to come out of there. I don't want to just talk about the sadness. So I'm going to ask Suze a question, and if you guys want to chime in, I'll read this that way in case the kids was to ever see this later on. But Suze, how much could you tell Alex's kids, your grandbabies, how much their father loved them?
Oh my gosh. Um, Besides saying that he absolutely loved them to his last breath, I could say that he was willing to fight for however long it took, pay however much it costed, and make as many trips as necessary for any amount of time with his kids. And he made every minute with them quality time.
Before this happened to your son, did you know how common situations like this are becoming?
I did not. I know about domestic violence. I know, like I said, there are plenty of deadbeat fathers and there are deadbeat mothers as well.
Yeah.
And I was not aware of how often a new significant other takes out a father for wanting to have his kids. You
It's
know,
unfortunate because a lot of this is just fathers that are in the same situation as Alex. It's not
Mhm.
because they're not absent because they want to be absent,
Right. They're
or
forced out.
they're forced out. But many people would hear that the dad's not there, they automatically become a deadbeat, and not many
Hmm.
people are willing to listen to the challenges. Uh,
Right.
I've never seen a deadbeat following my show. These
Right.
guys, a deadbeat's not going to try. They're not going to drive 5.5 hours
No.
to go do a supervised visitation, go through the courts, get the attorneys, and stuff. They're not
Yeah.
going to do that. That's too much work for them.
Right.
But it's sad because, again, a father's relationship with these kids should have been preserved. Maybe situations like this could be prevented, and I hope so. What would you like to see? Again, I know it's early, but what would you like to see come out of Alex's story and turn this pain into purpose? What would you like to see out of this in the future?
I would like the courts to, even though they don't acknowledge, significant others in that situation, like the courts are for the father and the mother. It's one thing if they have a significant other, but that significant other should not have any influence on each of the parents' relationships with their children. If it weren't for that influence, I do believe, number one, my son would still be alive. Number two, they probably would have worked around to a reasonable situation without it involving the courts. And I just, Alex's girlfriend is a wonderful woman. She sacrificed so much. She took in him and his boys into her home. She loved them. She cared for them, but she didn't try to run things. She was there as support. She didn't tell him what he needed to do or what he should do. She was just there to support him with whatever he decided to do for his kids. And that's what it should be like. You can love the kids, you can love their parent, but when it comes to the custody, the visitation, the phone calls, they should be kept out of that. But the court should also be looking at them and seeing what it is that they're influencing that's causing all the court dates.
Crystal Hinckley said he
That's
loved
her.
boys in life and did everything and anything to connect with them. And he always loved them as hard as anyone possibly could.
Yes, that's Crystal.
We're going to go to your mom. She said he probably played down his life for them. He possibly saved their lives in the long run, as long as their mother kept putting them in the same dangerous situation. Crystal Hess, he literally died for his kids. He loved them more than anything in the world. Tracy Nicole Johnson Ferris, I've been friends with Alex's dad since he was 16. I remember Alex when he was little. It is heartbreaking that this happened to him. You are missed, Alex, and won't be forgotten. Christina, mom, court should have psychological evaluation for significant others if they're going to be involved in the children's lives. They do it with the actual parents. Why not the significant others too? I agree.
Agreed. Yes.
I mean, in these situations, when moms get killed too in
Right.
these situations, with domestic violence, where we wouldn't ever say that that's not happening. But the thing is, usually when this happens to a mom, dad does it.
Right.
When it happens to a dad, it's very rarely mom.
Right.
Maybe one out of 10. It'd be mom. It's usually a boyfriend. Most of the time it's a boyfriend or it's a family member or friend. And I think in custody exchanges in these situations, spouses, new spouses, boyfriends, they don't even need to be involved. I think we should have laws that against that. It needs to be between mom and dad. When the exchanges are done, they need to come alone because it's already a high conflict situation. You're taking two people that had kids together, once loved each other. Now they don't. Put them in family court where they got to throw trash at each other. And it's already, like I said, boiling over. And then when you get these people in there, they didn't live the life. They don't know but one side of the story. They don't need to be involved.
Right.
They definitely don't need to be involved. And so my hope is that we get some awareness about this and that change comes soon. Heather said Alex's boys were his pride and joy.
Yeah.
So, man, this is such a sad situation. Heather, Suze, I got one more question for you. A little tongue-tied there, but guys, do me a favor. Please like and share this broadcast so we can keep Alex's memory alive. Suze, I want to tell you before we end the show tonight, we're here. This isn't something that we just talk about when the headline gets here. When this court case starts to happen or years from now, you need help with the boys, anything, reach out to us. That's what we're here for. And I would ask anybody in the community that's watching this right now, let her know that they're loved. There's many of us going through this, and we sympathize with you. We really do. Before I ask you that last question, though, and guys, I'm going to put the GoFundMe back down in the comments again. I know you've been watching the show, but do me a favor. Let's get that GoFundMe out there. And, Alex has his final preparations have been taken care of, but this is for the kids. So if you could do me a favor, if you don't have it to give, share it. Make sure his story gets out there. I would really appreciate it. But Suze, is there anything else about your son that we might not have discussed tonight, or anything you would want people to know about this case that we haven't talked about?
I don't think so. I think we covered it all. The main thing is Alex always wanted to be with his kids. Always. He did not want his children to grow up the way he did. His father and I were divorced. He wasn't around his father much. He didn't want to grow up. He didn't want his kids to grow up like that. And now they have to grow up without him completely. That's all I got.
Just on the way out, I wanted to leave you, with one more thing. Obviously, this was something that was unexpected.
Yes.
Came out of the middle of nowhere. There's a lot of grief, and I'm sure lots of things looking back, you'll question, say, well, what if we had done this? What if we had did this? But if you could have had one more chance to say something to Alex in his life, or some last words, what would you want it to be?
The only thing so far that I've worried about is that while he knew I supported him completely in his fight for his kids, is that I don't think I ever actually put it in words how proud I was of him for all the things he did to make sure that he could have them in his life. He sacrificed so much time, money. He would have done anything for those boys, and I don't think I ever actually told him how proud I was of the father that he became.
He knows. He knows. All right, Suze. Thank you so much for coming on tonight, and prayers for your family. I can't imagine what this has been like for you guys, but again, turn that pain into purpose. Any way that we can help get the story out, we're willing to do it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.